So even people like Lynn Paxton have heroes.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's your hero I just looked at up on the wall just then.
Yep, Tommy Henderson. Well, if you talk to Mario Andretti or A.J. Foyt, they'll put them both in that class. Foyt called him said the best he ever saw in dirt.
Woo.
And Mario said he was a giant. So when you got guys of that magnitude shedding a lot of light on Tommy, it has to be true.
So I'm here with Lynn Paxton, and this is Oggy, who's about the most friendly lab I think I know.
Yeah, he's a piece of work.
How long have you had this shop where we are now, Lynn?
We've been here 40 years. I bought the property in '76 and rebuilt the building. I was in my dad's old building for years over on Route 15, just on the other side of Williams Grove.
I know this is not yours, but I got to show that real quick. That used to be the governor of Pennsylvania?
Yeah, Governor Gifford Pinchot. He used that to dedicate a lot of the roads to get the farmer out of the mud. A lot of bridges and everything. Very famous. He was one of only 6 ever built Studebaker limousine like that.
All right, there's so much I want to ask you. There's so much I want to see. Can we go back into your office
Sure,
at the front?
Sure,
come on, Oggy. Oh, I know. We're back in your office, Oggy. So I want to start with, because where do you start? But the Paxton to the moon shot here.
Yeah, well, you got to remember, people at that time, somebody put that in the paper, Paxton to the moon. It was just the high point of my race car when we got in a crash there. We ran the car the next night, so it looks worse than it really was.
So later when I talk to Danny Dietrich, I'm going to say, hey, remember that time?
Well, he may not remember it.
I'm going to remind him.
You remind him. You just tell him he was getting started, and he created that problem.
So I
think Van ended up winning both the 20 lappers, yeah.
And that's Steve Smith in there with you as well, right?
Yeah, Steve. We just lost Stevie a couple of months ago.
Yeah, very sad. Look at these bad A55 ears.
Yeah, that's Bruce Larson, myself, and Bob Shawley. Bruce, of course, was a national championship drag racer, and Bob was a Triumph cycle. He was a factory rider for Triumph. Him and Gary Nixon. So, I tell people 53 years ago we were friends, and we're still friends, all 3 of us.
These 2 pictures caught my eye immediately. This is on the pole at Syracuse.
Yeah, that was the start of the feature.
I can't even imagine how fast that place was, but...
Well, I think we qualified like at 135 or something like that, which was pretty good. We out-qualified everybody about a half a second. But then Billy Pouch, about 10 years later, he went like 146 or something, set a new world record up there. And we had the car. We just transferred it out to Knoxville. It's out there right now.
So underneath here is your first ever drive in a sprint car.
Yep. That's the start of the feature. IMCA, Allentown, probably 1968.
That's busy. There's a lot going on there.
There's a lot going on there.
Okay, this amazing montage you got here. This is really cool because it kind of sums up, where it started and where you've been.
Well, my first ride was in that. It was a mechanics race in that number, Maroon 15.
Yep.
And then the first car we built was this 47 Ford Coupe in the old hobby division at Silver Springs. And then I bought this Sportsman car, which was a good old car years earlier. And those are I kind of cut my eye teeth in those, and then Fred Putney got released from the 15, and I talked my way into that. That was the Harold Hank car.
Yep.
And I ran that, and this was another one. And Spray 9 sponsored us, so they talked us into going to the number 9 instead of the... So I ran, that was Hank's car. It ran up until 64. And... of course, I ran a late model then also.
Yeah, now you had several wins.
Yeah, we won 12 or 15 races
Yeah.
or so with a late model. I'd drive anything. I mean, back then, seat time. So
Yeah.
if you got a chance to drive, you drove.
Of course, you were teammates with Bobby Allen for a little period too.
I went in the Air Force, so I missed part of the year. When I came back in '65, I had the CAE car. Reese Smith had that for me, and I won actually my first 2 wins at the Grove were in that CAE car.
Yeah.
65. And then this is the car that's in the other room here that Kenny built. We actually had bought it. Kenny built it for us, put the Ford in. But then I got Mr. Emerick to sponsor, so he bought the car and we had to put a Chevy in it. So that's, both of these are that car.
Yep.
And then this is the Travis car that was new in 69, which is that car there.
And we're going to look at those in a minute. Look at that good-looking rooster. Hey, that guy had
all that hair.
Hey?
Yeah.
He had the world at his feet, that guy.
Yeah. Well.
How different are you now from that man?
Well, I shrunk about three. I'm only 5'10" now, and I used to be a little over 6 foot tall.
Yep.
Problem is, I weigh the same, so that's not good.
Where was that taken? Was that at the Grove?
That was probably at the Grove. Yeah, judging by the back. Yeah, that was the Grove. It was in the pits at the Grove.
What a life you were living at that time.
Well, I had a good time. I mean, that's. I said I don't do anything. I don't have a good time, and if that's work, I make sure I have a good time doing that. My wife said I never had a job because anything I've ever done, I've enjoyed doing. So she said I've never worked a day in my life because I enjoy it. Because everybody said, why do you still come into the garage? I said, because I enjoy it. I don't know who's going to walk in the door.
Yeah.
I mean, last week, Danny Lazowski walked in,
Yeah.
He was looking for the wing guy. So I got to talk with, I know Danny, but, we got a chance to meet up a little bit one-on-one. And then I see they won Brown won on Friday night at the Grove. So that's pretty interesting.
Inside this door here, some of the cars that you were talking about.
Yeah.
There's some wicked photos here. 43 main event wins at the Grove? Did I get that wrong? 30 or
43 were in a sprint car.
Yeah.
I think it was probably 47 probably total. That's midget and modifieds.
And over 20 wins in the late model, not at the Grove, but
I
just
don't think it was that many. 12 to 15
Okay.
probably.
Okay, enough.
Well, a few.
Yeah, 234 total. Main.
Probably I think it's 224 in a sprint car. Late models and the other stuff probably around 250 is what they figure. I don't know.
That'll do.
It's in here to be careful. They said over 200 wins. So
Yeah, it's good. Can you show me in here? Because this is just,
sure.
oh my goodness. Here at Lynn Paxton's shop, and oh yeah.
Yeah, well, like I said, this is the Weld car that Penny had built for me, and this is the Travis car that we bought in '69. And
so the square tank or square-ish tank at the back, Lynn.
Well, it was they were the old modifieds, the old 30 by 90s. The problem is, till we got this car on the road, everybody had gone sprint cars. But this is a brand new Super, so we ran it as a sprint car, and we won sprint car races with it.
Now, I noticed you called him Mr. Emerick before.
Yeah.
And I know Jack Hewitt always called Mr. Hunt Mr. Hunt.
Yeah.
That's just a respect thing?
Well, yeah, Emerick was... I never saw him when he wasn't wearing a suit, this car here, his general manager owned Susquehanna Speedway at the time. So anytime we had to run a car or something, we just go to Susquehanna. And I remember we had put a new motor in the car, and we took it over to Susquehanna, and Mr. Emerick come pulling in with his suit on.
Yep.
And I had one of my mechanics out just going around with the car. He said, bring that in here. We brought it in, and we stuffed him in with his suit.
No way.
Yeah, we stuffed him in the car. He took off, and I didn't think it was running because he wasn't going any faster than the truck. Finally, the truck backed off, and he idled around.
Yeah.
And on the backstretch, he got on it just enough to make the car wiggle. And then he brought it in, and for the next 2 weeks, all I heard was how well the car handled, and I ought to win every race. It was hilarious.
This is beautiful. There's something about the lines, isn't there? Just that gorgeous...
Yeah. This is traditional sprint car. They didn't look much different from the 50s right on up through until they started going with all the square bodies and everything like that. And to tell you the truth, the suspension, they keep changing. They all go back to torsion bars and everything. It's just these things weighed a little bit more, took a little more of a beating and stuff.
Isn't that beautiful, though, Lynn, that they do stay traditional like that in many forms. That as much has changed, as much
It's not
hasn't.
that they haven't tried other things. It just seems like everybody ends up back. We've all gone off and tried different stuff, but you always end up back at the same place.
Now you this had the roll cage on it, which you showed me in this picture.
Yeah. I ran it mostly with a cage and a wing, but sometimes I ran it without a wing. I never ran it without a cage. Okay. Now the car in there, I did run without a cage, but I never ran this car without a cage. But I like the look of it, so that's what this car would look like without a cage.
I mean, just a couple of average wheelers drove this thing.
Well, I was the main driver. Smokey, when I got hurt, he drove it. One year I was out racing snowmobiles and Alan run it. And then Ronnie, I think, won a race in it. And then later on, Ed Zirkle bought it, and he won the track championship at Susquehanna with it. So it's been around for a while.
Just.
That's my grandson sitting in it there.
Look how big the steering wheels were back in the day, Lynn.
Yeah.
I guess you had to get up on the wheel.
Well, they were manual steering. They were 17-inch wheels. You had to... Let's just say the 140-pound weaklings didn't survive back then. Power steering has made these little guys a necessity. But back then, although I got to admit there were some small guys back then, but a guy by the name of Mitch Smith, I never saw him play out. He was a wheelman. Same way with Bobby Adams. He's a big, tall, skinny guy.
Yeah.
But I never seen him play out in a race car either. So
Armstrong steering.
Yeah.
Wow. Just so many incredible memories here for you. I mean, just... Wow, the Tommy Hinnerschnitz Memorial Award. Now, that had to mean something to you.
Oh, it did. Absolutely. I looked up to the man and to receive that award. And actually, I received it again. They apparently can't find anybody. I don't know what's going on, but I think they forgot they gave it to me years ago, and I think I just received it again. So.
Well, you'll take it.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to argue. Anything that's got my name and Hendershot's on the same byline, I'm pretty happy with that.
Port Royal Speedway Hall of Fame, Williams Grove Hall of Fame, Auto Racing Club, Hagerstown there as well. Just...
there's Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame.
Yep. What is it? I know it's a difficult question to ask, but why is Pennsylvania so special, Lynn? Why am I just...
I think it has to do with the old fairgrounds and the German ancestry of the horse racing and the fairs, and it's just when the horses gave away to the automobiles, then the automobiles got to use these old horse tracks, and I think that's where it all started back, the turn of the century, of the last century, And I think we've gone through 100 years of motorsport, and I don't see an end to it. It's still a hotbed of racing around here.
Every state, every region has its pride. Yeah. California, Arizona, Iowa, Indiana particularly, Ohio, all those places. But PA people just seem to be a little bit more up and about.
I don't know. Like you said, there's... In here, the racers from all over come here, okay? I mean, the California group, a lot of them from out there that come in and spend a summer in here. So it was kind of neat. It's like anything else, like the World of Outlaws. I said, when they come to town, it's special because they're the best in the business, and you want to... if you're going to be successful, that's who you want to run against. It's the best in the business. A lot of stuff in here.
So I knew that there would be things that were just impossible not to show. This is like your little... Is this your office?
Yeah. It's kind of the office where if I'm doing research or something, or pictures and stuff, they'll be here. And then I have these scrapbooks here on the cars that are restored. And of course... a lot on the Miracle Power and on the Sachs car. Now they're both at the museum, but there's a lot of stuff here. And a lot of people, somebody will call me and want some information.
Yep.
And I have the books here. I know exactly where it is, where I can get the information for them.
Oh my goodness. It's just so much. And look, with your work with museum, and we're going to talk about this later.
See, here's a picture. Doesn't mean anything to anybody, to me. That's Tommy. And that's Larry Dixon.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Apparently, Larry was going to run that midget. I don't know the whole story. I just saw the picture.
It's so important to preserve this history, isn't it? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, there's stuff here everywhere.
You said there's that image, guys. There's a lot of Hinterschnitz.
Windsor Reading. Yeah, that's out of Speed Age magazine. Stuff everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this was Tommy and two of his mechanics when I first got the car done. The first place I took it was down to his house, and he invited his old mechanics, and he stuck his uniform and his old helmet back on and climbed in it one more time.
What an incredible life. Miracle power in your oil and gas.
Yeah. Now you'll see that car at the museum.
So I'm looking at that. There's a bridge over the top of the Straits there. Yeah, that's got to be the Grove.
That's 1974. That's me on the pole, and Kenny on the outside. I remember that. I chuckled because a car owner, not my car owner at the time, didn't really care for Kenny.
Okay.
And I went out and timed a little later, and he said, "I'll give you $100 bill if you knock him off the pole." And before I got out of my car, I had a fresh new $100 bill. I did knock him off the pole. Not that often, but I did that particular day.
Wow.
This is just kind of parts department.
Yep.
Well, I've restored a lot of old race cars here, and I sell stuff to people all over the place. If they have a need for an older part, I might get a call and ship it out. Now, a lot of stuff's not here. It's loaded in my trailer getting ready to go to Hershey.
Yeah. Wow, you got some stuff here. Hell hath no fury like a dad whose tools are missing.
I guess, yeah.
The carpet, just the carpet.
Well, this is old.
It's original.
Well, it was original to what was in here before. And there was a electronics wholesale business in here.
Okay.
Years ago. 40 years ago. I never bothered to. I did out there. We put floor down out there, but I never did it here.
I'm looking at these incredible old timers pictures that you have here.
Well, these are the posters from Williams Grove. The first one's actually that one back there. It was the 8th one. And then it was boom, boom, boom. And then it goes right on up. I don't have them all here, but there's a lot of them here. You don't want to be on those posters because
no,
those people are all deceased.
We call them dusty heroes.
Well, the people that are on here, now this is Mitch Smith. He was a hell of a race car driver. But now this was Pappy Huff's wife. You didn't need to be a race car driver. You had to be somebody that helped get the museum going.
Okay.
So this was Bill Shirk, not Joey Chitwood, okay, Al Molinaro, this hell of a racer, Jiggs Peters. Jiggs was quite a Bob Benchoff. I drove for him, and I owned cars together.
Now Van May talked about him yesterday when I was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Pappy Huff. He was the Pappy's pigs. That's what they called his midgets, the pigs. And then, of course, this was Carl Swigert, our first president. And then Bobby Abel, who I raced with a lot, he was heck of a. And Bill Wright, who was one. And, of course, there we honored Tommy.
Wow.
Matter of fact, that's him and his wife. When I first got the car done, I took it down. But that was 1983.
God.
And Lloyd King. And anyhow, it's just every year we honor somebody differently.
I saw a hood in the first room we started in that had the name Hamilton on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me any stories about him, particularly with a black eye at all or anything like that. I should ask about.
No, I broke his nose.
Oh, his nose. Okay.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Well, actually, I didn't do it, but I got the blame long term. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
We were out. I had a cabin up north. I bought the ground off of Al, and Mitch Smith and I went up and built a cabin up there.
Yep.
Okay. Now, him and I working together was not a good thing, but playing together was a lot of fun. Anyhow, we go snowmobiling up there, and there might have been 10 or 12 of us up there snowmobiling. I did some kind of damage to my sled. I had to go back to my camp and make a repair. I had stuff along. So Al and Mitch went along with me back, and we were supposed to go cross country and meet the other group at another stop. Well, I repaired the sled, and Al knew a shortcut across these moguls and stuff, and I mean, it was up and down and around and through. And I went up over this mogul, and I looked down, and Al was off the sled. And he's laying off the sled, and his helmet's right there. And I got mine anchored done, and my ski was right ready to go in his helmet, and I got mine stopped, okay? And I thought, man, that could have hurt him. Next thing I know, Mitch was behind me. He come bailing over and ran right over me. My helmet, of course, went in, broke Al's nose. It sent me out over. We had to gather everything up. I remember it looked like we gutted a deer out there. I got an old piece of rag and stuck it up his nose. We climbed everything, got everything back together, and we took off. So right to the day he died, he said, tell him how you broke my nose, Actually, Mitch did it, but I got the blame because my ski was the one that went in. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the whole story.
It's a great story.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. Wow. So I can't wait to visit the museum because everyone said you got to get Lynn to take you through the museum, and we're going to do that tomorrow.
Yep.
I'm really so grateful for your time.
It's no problem. Talking's easy for me, and I can do that.
And one thing I have noticed, Lynn, when I drive around PA is very different. The homes look different. They're the streets are quite narrow in a lot of places. Mm-hmm. People have porches. Now, I've always heard that, get off the porch thing, and never understood it until I came here. There's some really beautiful porches. I can see why people sit on them.
There are certain areas, like you're in Cumberland County right now, and if you notice the stone barns, the beautiful stone barns.
Yep.
Well, the reason they are is that's natural limestone to this area.
Yep.
And there's just some beautiful homes and barns built with that. They used what they had in a certain area, and that's why it's so picturesque, really.
It's a beautiful part of the world, mate.
Well, any place is, I enjoy going to upstate New York and the Finger Lakes and stuff, I agree that there's nothing prettier than Pennsylvania, especially now in the fall.
Yeah.
But there's other places that are just as pretty.